Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our virtual subject evening. My name's Amy Smith and I'm the Marketing Manager for Lowestoft Sixth Form College. During this session, we're going to be taking you through our courses in law, criminology, sociology and psychology. So we've got quite a bit to get through for you. On your screen, you will see a Q&A button. This button can be used to type in any questions. So anything at all that you think of as we're going through the presentations that you'd like to ask, then please feel free to pop that in that box. And when we get to the end, we will answer all the questions for you live at once. So we'll get started straight away. And I'm going to hand you over to Phil, who's going to take you through our first subject. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Amy. That's great. I'm Phil Spencer. I'm a teacher in charge of law and also criminology, and also director of faculty. But really, I just want to talk to you today about law and criminology. Basically, in law, what we do is study 4 units of law. We look at the English legal system, look at criminal law, we look at tort law, and we look at human rights law. We do the first 2 in the first year and the last 2 in the second year. The assessment of the actual course itself is done at the end of year 1, where we do a progression exam at the end of year 2. We do the actual A levels themselves, and that takes the form of 3 exam questions. It proved very popular in the past of law, particularly with ladies and female students. So come on, guys, we want a few more come along to do law now this year. Generally speaking, the success rates have been very high and progression is very, very positive, with over 75% of law students actually going on to university. And we've had an incredibly good pass rate with the students over the last 10 years. So it's a very, very positive course. And many students will go into all sorts of different careers related to law, such as the police or perhaps the Crown Prosecution Service. In terms of what I'm looking for, basically, it is a difficult subject. There's no denying that. I'm looking really for students who are going to get at least an average GCSE score of a 5 and above. We're not setting people up to fail, but we do need people with a good academic grounding, and particularly in English. Law and English go very well, as they do alongside sociology and also psychology. In terms of qualities, really, I'm looking for somebody who's very much interested in law as a career, who's enthusiastic and committed, and they've got a good degree of stamina to put up with some difficult topics and some difficult forms of assessment. But generally speaking, most students will find it very, very interesting, and we try to do as many activities as we can to replicate legal structures and legal systems. So that's a bit about law. In relation to criminology, it's generally a new course. It's an incredibly popular course. Lots of people seem to be incredibly interested in crime. I think we're all interested in crime to a point. And what we do there, again, we do 4 units in relation to the course. We do one based upon different types of crime, a second one based on different theories of crime, a third one looking at the crime scene to the courtroom, and the last really looks at crime and punishment. It's very different to law in many ways, though many law students actually do criminology too. In terms of its assessment, we assess by having a controlled assessment, which is done by the college for half of the actual assessment, and then the other half of the assessment is done by external. You can achieve the certificate in the first year, and then we go on to the applied diploma at the end of the second year. Again, many students will seek to look at a career within the police, the probation service, or within social services as their form of progression. And like I say, very popular. In terms of qualities and qualifications, I'm not looking for such high qualifications within criminology. Average GCSE score 4.5, and in terms of qualities, yeah, and enthusiasm and commitment to the course is what we're really looking for. So that's just a little bit about criminology. So I'll hand you over to Paul, who's going to be doing some work with you. I'll talk to you about psychology.
Hello. Oops. I think that's sociology. Okay, yes, hi. My name is Paul Tritchler and I teach psychology here at the college. Psychology, rather like law, requires students to have at least a grade 5 or above. And again, it's also a rather demanding course with quite a lot of content to push through over the 2 years that the course lasts. It's an exam-based course. There's no coursework in it, and we study 6 subjects in the first year and approximately the same in the second year. I say approximately because one of them's a double on research methods. In that first year, we'll look at social influence, memory, attachment, and approaches to psychopathology and psychopathology itself, looking at cheerful subjects such as depression, OCD, schizophrenia, and things like this, also phobias. Most students thoroughly enjoy the course, and if they can stick it, and they do very well. It's a good A level to have, and it opens up lots of different opportunities later when you start to look at your career. It's a very transferable sort of A level. You can use it to go into the police, into business, into marketing, into teaching, and a range of other progressions such as that. And that's not much more to say about it than that, I think. Yeah, that's about it, I think, actually. Over to Richard for sociology.
Yes, if I can work out how to do my camera, there you go. So I'm Richard Worthington. I teach sociology, and I've been teaching sociology for a number of years now at Lowestoft. I think it's a great place to study. We have a really high caliber of student. The types of students who would be interested in sociology are students who really just have an interest in the world, who possibly read around the subject, read newspapers. The types of things that we look at are, as you can see, cultural identity. It's all about how identities are constructed. Mass media, the ways in which kids these days spend most of their lives online, seemingly, and get to really kind of critically think about their relationship with the mass media. And we look at it historically. Currently, we're doing crime deviance, so obviously there's a lot of crossover here with the other subjects presented just now. It's a fascinating subject, and we look at the Lowestoft context to get kids to think about what it means to be living in Lowestoft, and to compare it to places like Tunbridge Wells and places that are very different, and to get them to kind of understand their position and their place in society. And then we look at education, and that's where we introduce the whole concept of research, which is very similar to psychology. The type of student we're looking for in sociology are ones who, again, have probably an average level 5 GCSE, but it is very much a writey subject. So, a good grasp of the written word is important. Types of jobs you can go into, as you can see, there's a bunch there. I have students who have gone to London School of Economics to study sociology. I've had a student go to study archaeology at Cambridge. I have students who go to Durham to study law. So kids who study sociology go into a variety of professions, and I'm very kind of mindful of getting students into good university places. So I would say the standards are high. But that's not to say that kids who just have a genuine interest in society and want to study it are welcome too. So it's exam based. I don't know what the next slide says. Does it say anything? There's just 2, isn't it? So yeah, I'm happy to to talk to anyone about the subject afterwards. I'm passionate. I enjoy the subject. And handing back to Amy, I believe.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Yes, so now we've been through the subject and you've heard an overview of each of the courses. Now it's time for your questions. So as I said, there's the Q&A box. Please type them in there. No question is too silly to ask. So anything that you would like to know, please pop them in there and we will answer them live for you. While the first questions are sort of coming in, we have got some that were sent in prior to this evening that we were asked to ask. So we'll start on those while everyone else is typing theirs in. So our first question around law, is law purely exam based?
Yes, it is. It is purely exam based. It's quite tough in that kind of respect. So you are expected to learn and apply a substantial amount of knowledge really and skills. So it is, yeah, you're assessed basically upon your knowledge and understanding of the course, your ability to actually apply the law in practice with scenarios, and also with an essay-based paper at the end. So it is all exams. It is quite stiff in that respect, but it does develop your ability to become an actual lawyer itself. And students who've gone to university have really told me how much they've appreciated the kind of the things done in class to prepare them for their first year. But yes, it is exam based.
Great, thank you, Phil. We've just had a question that's come in here. I note that criminology is an applied diploma. How does this differ from an A-level, and is it viewed differently by universities? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I often get this. It is an applied diploma. In terms of, it isn't an A-level. The main difference in many respects is a form of assessment, because you do have the controlled assessment, which is 50% of the actual course itself. So we do the first unit and it's taught in class, and then there's an exam set by myself and the exam board, and we do that in college, and then it's assessed by myself and the team, and then we send it off to be moderated by the exam board. And then we have the second unit, which again is an external. So we have 50-50 split. So that's the biggest difference in terms of the assessment. Obviously the content is quite different, because it's just focused totally on crime. In terms of the UCAS, our university, the universities see it in the same kind of way as law. You know, it carries the same kind of form of assessment in the sense that it's A to E, as opposed to a BTEC where you've got distinction stars and down to merits and passes. So it's A to E, and it carries the same UCAS points as any other A level. So it is different in that respect, but it's well received by most universities and treated in the same kind of way.
That's great, thank you, Phil. Next question that's come in. If you need to get a 5 to get onto a course and instead you get a 4, would you be turned away, or would you still be allowed to join depending on your passion for the subject? Who can help with this one?
Well, I teach because I want to facilitate students, and if you've got a 4 but you're passionate about the subject, I'm always willing to listen to your conversation. If you've read War and Peace and have thought about Marx's theory of revolution, but you got a 4 in English because you didn't perform on the day, that says to me that you're interested in the world, and I'm willing to have that conversation. I think on the day we will have those conversations during the registration period, if I'm right in thinking, Phil.
Yeah, one of the things we can do anyway, and we do normally, it's very much on an individual basis. To be honest, it is enrolment, and we take all these kind of things, which Richard said, into consideration. And sometimes we'll give them a period of time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 4 weeks, to see if they can settle into the course, and then to assess them when they come into the course at the beginning of the course. And if they find that they're doing okay, then we'll continue. If they're struggling, then perhaps we'll have another conversation, like Richard says, and perhaps we'll move further on. But the idea is to give everybody the best chance they can. But we're not setting up people to fail. We want them to be successful here, have been in the past. So there might well be a case that if you haven't got the qualifications, you would struggle. And we wouldn't want you to do that with your education.
Yeah, of course. Great, thank you. Psychology question. What other subjects go well with psychology?
Oh, well, quite a few of them do, in fact. I'm trying to think of a subject that doesn't go well with it, and I really can't think of one. English goes very well with it, but so does mathematics. Quite often the sciences, but sometimes law and criminology and sociology blend very well as well. So it's a difficult question to answer because I haven't come across one yet that it didn't fit with, because psychology can be applied to so many areas. And I think, as the other people had said just now, it really does depend very largely on how much commitment the student wishes to make to it. So if they're very passionate about it, it'll work out. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question we were asked, how many subjects can I apply for? This is more of a general question. Who can help with that?
Well, generally speaking, we're looking for students to apply for 3 subjects. You know, on the rare occasions we may get students of high academic ability, we do allow perhaps them to start with 4. But ultimately, we're looking for students to apply with 3 subjects. But again, as part of the application process, if you're not quite sure what you want to do, and you've got the whole load of raft of subjects which you want to actually take, that's part very much of the interview process, and we may be able to whittle them down a little bit to help you focus on the ones which you want to do at the end. But this is very much start of the process. It's something which will end with enrolment. But generally speaking, if you want to have a discussion with the person who's interviewing you about your choices, then do so to find what those best choices are in the first place. That's my advice, really. And you can change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind. But ultimately, your exam results have probably determined the kind of courses which you might be available to.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Another question's just come in. What subjects go well with sociology?
Well, as Paul was saying, you know, sociology does lend itself to many other subjects. But for example, in English literature, I think the type of analysis that they do, you can employ sociological approaches like Marxism, feminism, to the study and analysis of texts. Law, we study criminology. We study criminology, but we look at it from a slightly different perspective. History, obviously, it's kind of humanities, really, and psychology too. So yeah, lots. It's less mathematical. It's more, I think, sociology is creative in the sense that you need to be able to argue from the point of view of sociological perspectives, but you can apply them to a kind of myriad of contexts. So creativity, you know, like the creative subjects too. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our questions. So thank you very much, everybody. As you can see on screen now, you can apply today to join us at the Sixth Form College. So our website is on screen. Applications are open for 2021. So you can get your application form in now, get your choices selected and get your date lined up for your interview. So you really can get moving. On screen as well, we've got an email address, here to help @eastcoast.ac.uk. Any questions that spring to mind after this event, anything we haven't covered, feel free to send an email to that address, and then we will filter it out to the tutors that are on the Zoom this evening so that they can get back to you. We've also got our social media channels. So if you want to get a feel for the college, you can follow us on social media, see the kind of things that our students are up to. And as well, if you visit our website, you can also have a look at our virtual tour. So obviously, sadly, we can't welcome you into the building at the moment. So if you'd like to have a look inside, you can take our virtual tour, start right at the front door, work your way all through the building, look in some of our classrooms. You can have a look at some of the spaces where you'll study and relax with friends and get a real good feel for the college. So that's a really great tool that we've got on there that you can have a look at the moment. We have just had a couple more questions just come in, so I don't know whether I think we've got time for those, so that'll be great. We'll just pick those up. So somebody's asked, what are the timetable and lesson times like? So I suppose, how is a student's week kind of made up and split between lessons? Who can help with that one?
Well, I think Phil would know the detail. I think there's been, I think it's nearly 5 hours, Phil, a week. I've taught content for A level.
Well, at present it's 4.5, because what we do, we have three 1 hour sessions and another 1.5 hour session, and at present that's taught over either a 2 or a 3 day period of time. So that's how it works, and that's for each A level at this present time. It may well be spread further over the week next year, but that's how it works, really, in terms of the timetabling of the actual subjects themselves. We find really that with the timetabling too, we try to offer as many options as possible. So the timetable does, we don't cap necessarily courses. We want as many people to come to the college as possible, and we want to offer them the bigger variety of choices which is possible too. So that's part of the reason why we're doing the process earlier, because the earlier we do, the more we know what students want to do, the more flexible we can be in terms of arrangements. So there aren't many students who don't get the subjects they want to study because of timetabling issues.
Yeah, of course. Great. Thanks, Phil. Another question actually just for you that's come in. Can law only lead to becoming a lawyer?
That's a really good question. No, the answer is no. In fact, most people, in a sense, when they think of law, they think of solicitors and they think of barristers. You know, those are the two main kind of areas of work. But in fact, if you think about law in society, which you'll do with Richard, no doubt, you see that law is ever present. We can see that for ourselves with the COVID restrictions. There's all sorts of jobs you can do alongside law. You might want to work in human resources if you're interested in that kind of work, or you might want to be working in business where there's always some kind of corporate law. If you go on to university, the law itself splits itself up into different types of categories, and you can pursue the kind of category which best interests your future career. But no, there's lots and lots of different aspects of law which you can have a really good career in.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, all right, I think that has brought us to the end of our questions now. So yes, as I said, the website is on screen. You can get your application in now and look on there for any more information about our college as well. And please do get in touch if there's anything further that we can help you with. So we hope you enjoyed this evening, hope that's been useful, and we hope to meet you all in the future very soon. Thanks a lot, bye.